Hello, everyone. So it's been about a month since the last of Divine Light Ignite. And my goodness, what a month it has been for me. My meditations have been so deep, so profound, so blissful. It wasn't really what I expected. You know, I thought I was going to teach a little of what I knew, and I thought I would be giving this as a gift. And I've been quite surprised by how deeply I've been gifted through this process. Now, it shouldn't surprise me as a proponent of unity consciousness. I know very well that what you do to the other, you do to the self. What you do for the other, you do for the self. What you put out into the world comes back to you. I know these things. I've taught these things. And yet it has surprised me how much I have been gifted. Now, there is an awareness in spiritual circles. The yogis talk about the siddhis. These are the gifts of spirit, where if you raise your consciousness, you gain access to gifts. And doesn't do to focus too much on the gifts, because people get very enamored with them and they start to pursue them and things go wrong. But nonetheless, I have had some truly, truly magnificent gifts. And I would like to talk a little bit about that. But first, I want to begin with coming full circle in our conversation to where we began. You'll recall in the beginning, we started to talk about, what is the purpose of meditation? What do we try and do with meditation? And I wonder, now that you have been on this journey, this month-long journey, I wonder what you think is the purpose of meditation. To my mind, if meditation has a purpose, then it's very much really about achieving true peace and tranquility for the mind. If you were to encounter somebody and they're in non-stop movement, just all the time fidgeting and twitching, and they just don't stop, and they say to you, my goodness, I'm having such struggles because I never seem to get any rest. And while I'm never resting, I'm struggling with life. It's just so overwhelming because I can never rest. What would you say to them? You'd say, for goodness sake, sit down, lie down, relax your body. You're not going to rest with your body jinking and bobbing around like that. Well, very nearly every single person on the planet is like that with their minds. Their minds are constantly buzzing and jumping from this thing to that thing and busy and active and never resting. Thank God for sleep. Otherwise, the poor creatures would just wear themselves out by month 3. I don't know. Well, meditation is like that. Meditation is about bringing your mind into a state of stillness, peacefulness, restfulness. Because what we don't realize is that the mind is actually, it's such a magnificent tool. I'm not against the mind, but the mind is what gets in the way of our communion with the divine. We think the whole of the activity is in our thoughts. We believe we are our thoughts. We get so confused about this. That through meditation, you can begin to see that by stilling the mind, you can take yourself somewhere where something beyond the mind can occur. Talk about somebody who doesn't rest. He does sometimes, I promise you. Pikachu, enough. But what I was saying is that by stilling your mind, you start to realize that you are not your mind. You start to realize that there is so much more than what you could possibly begin to conceive with your mind. And now I want to talk a little bit about the gifts, because you see, the gifts that come are not something that you can control. The stilling of the mind is something that you can control, just like you can choose to still your body at any time. Though Pikachu doesn't know this yet. You can. You can still your body at any time. In just the same way, you can learn to still your mind at any time. It's your mind. It's under your control. You just need to learn how. And so that's the purpose of meditation. When you do so, I have an experience, and I do believe this experience is transferable. I do believe others can have this experience too. I do believe you can too. That a completely calm, peaceful, still mind is like, it's like approaching a doorway, a portal, which, if the time is right, if the divine wishes it, if it's appropriate, sometimes that portal is just open and you can pass through that portal. And what happens on the other side of that portal is beyond your mind. It's beyond words, it's beyond thoughts, it's beyond description. It is communion with the divine. Now, sometimes those who have these experiences will try and tell you about them. But when you start to try and talk about what is beyond the portal, at best you can hope for some metaphorical type description. I sometimes tell my friends things like, I fell into the light of God, or I found myself being cradled in God's arms, or I found myself having unending knowing. I could know everything, I could see everything, I was everything. Sometimes I use words like that to describe what happens, but these words are weak metaphors for what actually happens. You can't actually tell about what is on the other side because it is so beyond what any mortal mind can comprehend. And the words that we have are grounded in human earthly experience. The words are ineffectual. So the best that we can do is to show people how to get to the portal and to guide them, not to just go to the portal. I mean, right now, because my mind is trained, right now I can close my eyes and still my mind. That doesn't mean I'm suddenly through the portal. You can prepare yourself. You can bring yourself there. The portal will be open or it will not. That is up to the divine. And if it is time and if you are invited through the portal, then you have experiences of the divine. And when you have those experiences, my goodness, what I can say is, having had that experience, I find myself wanting nothing else. Everything that you could possibly want, everything that I could possibly want, is there in such unbelievable abundance. That you come back and you say, well, okay, I'm back now. The part of the divine that returns, though, is very excited to do so. I have this experience of being aware of, oh my goodness, here is Arn. Here is this crazy Zingdad character. Oh wow, I want to be him. I'm so excited by the opportunities, by the possibilities, by being in this body with these tools, these resources, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. And I re-enter my body, my being, my personality, this tight little box, this small little space. I re-enter it with such joy. And then I get used to being me again, and then it sort of becomes mundane again. But the fact of having gone there and the fact of having returned changes everything. In this world, we are taught that if you are unhappy with your circumstances, there are things that you can do about it. You can go out and work hard and work on yourself, and you can go and earn enough money to buy the things that will make life easier. You could, if the things that you don't like are big things, you can raise political awareness, you can raise perception about it, you can change people, it's all so much hard work, and you work for a lifetime and you change things a little bit. Well, there's another way. And the other way is this, is to heal yourself, transform yourself, learn how to meditate, learn how to still yourself, change yourself, and everything changes. The world changes for you because you do. So is that a purpose of meditation? Really, how do you go about making that a purpose? These things are so difficult to talk about, which is why in the end, most gurus, guides, teachers will end up rather not talking about these things. This is why the Zen masters have these koans. They tell you to meditate on the sound of one hand clapping rather than to change the world. Rather just meditate on something that you can't even think about. And so this is why, for me, instead of trying to write another book or trying to find some other teaching or trying to find some other way of telling you what I have experienced, I thought I would rather just take you on this month-long meditation journey, take you to the door, show you how to get there, and then leave it up to you. So that has been my purpose for these 30 days. For some of you, it would have achieved that purpose. For some of you, it wouldn't. Some of you would be ready, some of you wouldn't. That's up to you. Which is why I keep saying I'm not your guru. I'm not your guide. Because I don't know where you are, and I can't touch you, and I can't take responsibility for you in that way. Your guru and your guide and your teacher is all inside of you. And I very, very much hope, it is my fervent desire, that this month-long meditation gave you some of the tools that you can use to get yourself to the door, to the portal. And it is my hope, my desire for you, that you take yourself to that portal regularly enough that when the portal is open for you, that you will understand, you will know, you will feel, you will be in the presence of the divine yourself. And if that happens, well then, I'd consider that a magnificent outcome to this journey. I thank you for sharing the journey with me. I thank you for being a participant in the raising of consciousness. I become aware that that's the whole of the game. Raise consciousness. The difference between where it was and where you've raised it to, there's magic there. There's magnificence. There's power there. There's gifts that flow from the raising of consciousness. So I certainly achieved some beautiful gifts as a result of gifting this to you. So thank you for participating. It's been wonderful sharing it with you. And I'll be sharing other things, doing other things. Maybe I'll see you on some of those too. Until then, I love you with the love of oneness. Goodbye.